Ah, yes, the First Amendment. It's now available in 2-ply, ultra soft. Of course, that is according to Donald Trump and the Republicans. And this time, the First Amendment isn't just the free speech portion they're after, it's religion. Trump, on Truth Social, shared an article from a website, and this website is Just the News, and the headline read, "Red states follow Trump's model. Seek to rid Islamist influence in local lawmaking." The subheading, "Seek to de-Islamify homeland." De-Islamify. Like remove an entire religion. That article was posted and endorsed by Donald Trump himself. And the opening of that article says, quote, "Illegal aliens from 27 Islamic nations entered the U.S. under Biden, broadening concerns of Muslim influences across some of America's largest cities and states." Muslim influences across our cities, as if 4.5+ million American Muslims aren't allowed to have a say in this country. And this isn't just some unhinged post. It's not just fake news, because there are real, actual efforts to make this a real thing in this country. Banning the influence of a religion. Need I remind you, by the way, that the Mayflower came over precisely to avoid such tyrannical efforts by their government. But if you look, Oklahoma, they are advancing a constitutional amendment to bar courts from applying, quote, "any foreign or religious law." And I've got to point out that back in 2024, State Superintendent of Schools mandated that all public schools must teach the Bible and 10 Commandments. But that was fortunately stopped following the legal challenges. I also just want to say, when they're talking about foreign rules, Christianity was founded in the Middle East. Just a little tidbit. Texas. They've got Republican state lawmakers literally forming what they are calling Sharia-Free caucuses. Greg Abbott, down in Texas, just blocked an Eid al-Adha celebration at a publicly funded water park. Why? Because the promotional flyer said Muslims only. No word on if they canceled all the Easter egg hunts in Texas. Over in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, the city council last January denied a rezoning request for a new mosque. And then the state attorney general had to launch an investigation into that council. Missouri, Arkansas, they're running the same play. And all of their justification every time is that Sharia law is creeping into local American courts. By the way, if that's what they're worried about, I want to do some quick math on the scale of Muslims in America. Roughly 1% of Americans are Muslim. Roughly 70% of Americans identify as Christian. And as far as I can tell, the number of times that Sharia law has formally been imposed on a non-Muslim American in a U.S. courtroom in U.S. history, as far as I can find, it's zero. It's actually 0.0. Not a single time. Yet the number of times that the Christian doctrine has been imposed on non-Christian Americans in the last calendar year by Republican state legislatures is somewhere between the 10 Commandments in your classroom and the Bible literacy requirement in public schools, or Louisiana making you have the 10 Commandments. Oh, and by the way, those 247 IVF cases stuck in legal limbo because the conservative Supreme Court justices want to play preacher. The number, in case you're curious, is approximately all of them. The same damn people screaming about a religion that they think is going to creep into your legal system are the same people who literally just signed a creep religion into your legal system law just a few weeks ago. They are not afraid of theocracy. They're just afraid of your theocracy. The closest thing this country has had to religious law infecting a court in the last 10 years is your U.S. Supreme Court, where they force pregnant women to carry to term because the 5 conservative justices decided their personal Bible reading was more important than 50 years of legal precedent. That really happened. That's not Sharia law. That's a conservative supermajority court imposing their religious beliefs on you. But you'll notice the Sharia-Free caucus in Texas hasn't formed a Catholic-free caucus or a Baptist-free caucus. There is no get Christian nationalism out of our courts amendment in Oklahoma. There's no investigation into Presbyterian churches sponsoring legislation. Funny how that works. Because the actual goal here is not to keep religion out of government. The actual goal is to keep one specific religion out of government and to install a different specific religion in its place. And by the way, if we adopted Christian law, here's some of the things you'd get. Death if you worked on the Sabbath from Exodus. Death for adultery. I know some folks that would apply to out of Leviticus. And the list of ridiculous laws in the Bible is endless. Whereas, and forgive me, it's been over a decade since I picked up a Quran, so I'm definitely paraphrasing here. But Sharia law is more geared towards personal conduct, but if we applied that generally, it would bring about things like this: an obligation to give to the poor and needy, justice for the people you dislike or disagree with, a financial system that generally prohibits the powerful from profiting and trapping people in debt. Gee, what a terrible way to govern this country. And this is not a new debate. If you go all the way back to James Madison, he saw this playing out. The man who wrote the First Amendment in 1785 said, and again I'm paraphrasing because the spray-tan DeLorean over at the White House, he wouldn't understand the words from 240 years ago. Madison said, as soon as the state starts deciding which religions are real religions and which religions get rights, that state is no longer a free state, period. And Madison wasn't trying to protect Muslims, nor was he trying to protect anyone from Muslims, or Christians for that matter. He was trying to protect Americans from a government that picks favorites. But that's what you're seeing now, Republicans openly picking their favorite religion. And the president is endorsing it from the White House. And there is not a single major Republican voice in Congress or anywhere willing to say, hey, maybe the president should not be reposting articles that use the word de-Islamify like he's the marketing director at a Klan rally. 500,000 Muslims live in Texas alone. 4.5 million or more live in this country. And every single one of them woke up this week and saw that the President of the United States endorsed a campaign to legislate them into second-class territory. And the Republican response is silence. I've got to remind Republicans, the First Amendment doesn't have an asterisk. It doesn't say, except for the ones with a prayer rug. And I want you to do me a favor. Drop me a comment or share this story because the algorithm is going to try to bury it. I promise you that. That's where I need your help.